The United States Department of Agriculture tested 54,344 samples of fruits and vegetables sold across the country. The Environmental Working Group analyzed those results and published them in March 2026. On the 12 most contaminated crops, 96% of samples contained pesticide residues. The average sample carried 4 or more different pesticides simultaneously. And the single most frequently detected chemical across every fruit and vegetable in the entire dataset was not an insecticide designed to kill bugs. It was not an herbicide designed to kill weeds. It was fludioxonil, a fluorinated fungicide that meets the internationally recognized definition of a PFAS forever chemical, on your fruit. Applied after harvest, directly onto the skin as an anti-mold coating for shipping and shelf life. On some of the most popular fruits in America, nearly 90% of samples tested carried it. In November 2024, the European Food Safety Authority concluded that fludioxonil meets the criteria for an endocrine-disrupting chemical, meaning it interferes with the hormone system that controls metabolism, reproduction, and brain development. The European Union is moving to restrict it. The United States government, in the same period, quietly approved 5 new PFAS pesticides at 5 times the pace of the prior administration, without informing the press or the public. We're breaking down the 10 most contaminated fruits sold in American grocery stores, counting down from concerning to genuinely alarming, and finishing with the 5 fruits that are actually safe to buy conventional. If you eat fruit, and especially if you feed fruit to children, every minute of this video matters. Number 10. Pears. The 2026 Dirty Dozen ranks pears at number 8 overall. The average pear sample contained 4 or more different pesticide residues. Among them was fludioxonil, the PFAS fungicide we just mentioned, applied after harvest as an anti-mold coating to extend shelf life during shipping and retail display. Run your thumb across the skin of a conventional pear next time you pick one up. Feel that waxy, slightly slick surface. That's not natural fruit wax produced by the pear itself. That's a combination of commercial wax coatings and fungicide residues applied in a packing facility after the fruit was picked from the tree. You eat the skin. The coating was designed to survive the journey from orchard to shelf. It was not designed to come off when you rinse it under the tap for 3 seconds before biting into it. 4 pesticides per pear. One of them is a forever chemical applied after it was picked. And the next fruit on this list carries something the European Union banned over a decade ago that American children still eat every day. Number 9. Cherries. The 2026 Dirty Dozen ranks cherries at number 9 overall. Multiple pesticide residues per sample, including neonicotinoids such as acetamiprid and imidacloprid. Neonicotinoids were introduced as the safer alternative to organophosphates, an older class of insecticides linked to severe neurological damage. The replacement was supposed to be progress, but emerging peer-reviewed research suggests that neonicotinoids may harm the nervous system and the reproductive system through different mechanisms than the chemicals they replaced. The European Union has restricted several neonicotinoids due to concerns about pollinator collapse and potential human health effects. The United States has not. Imported cherries from Turkey and Chile carry different pesticide profiles that may include chemicals not approved for domestic U.S. use, but the fruit arrives on the same grocery store shelf with the same label. Neonicotinoids were supposed to be the safer alternative. Emerging research says they traded one type of nerve damage for another, and the regulatory systems that should have caught this are still running on the assumption that the replacement is safe. Number 8. Blackberries. Blackberries are a newcomer to the Dirty Dozen, and they arrived the moment the USDA finally tested them. The USDA tested blackberries for the first time in 2023. The results were immediate. An average of 4 or more different pesticides per sample, enough to place them on the Dirty Dozen list in their very first year of testing. Imported blackberries from Mexico were found to contain organophosphate residues, a class of insecticide that the broader industry has been phasing out for years due to evidence of neurodevelopmental toxicity, particularly in children. Look at a blackberry closely the next time you hold one. See those tiny segments clustered together, the drupelets. Each druplet has a crevice between it and its neighbor. Those folds trap moisture, soil particles, and pesticide residues. No amount of rinsing under a faucet reaches the bottom of those folds. The fruit has no protective peel. The entire surface is edible and exposed. Every crevice that makes the blackberry beautiful is a crevice that holds what was sprayed on it. The USDA tested blackberries for the first time in 2023. What they found put them on the dirty dozen immediately. The question isn't why they're on the list. The question is why it took until 2023 to test them. Number 7. Blueberries. Back on the dirty dozen in 2026 after being absent in some prior years. Traces of several toxic pesticides including organophosphates and the PFAS fungicide fludioxonil. Blueberries are marketed as a superfood. Antioxidants, brain health, anti-aging, anti-inflammatory, cardiovascular protection. The health claims are backed by real research. People eat blueberries specifically because they believe they're one of the healthiest foods available, and they are, until you account for what's on the surface. The paradox is precise. The fruit people eat specifically for health benefits carries one of the heaviest and most chemically diverse pesticide loads of any fruit tested. A single serving of conventional blueberries may deliver beneficial polyphenols and simultaneously deliver residues from 4 or more synthetic chemicals, including at least one forever chemical. Regulators assess those chemicals one at a time, in isolation, on a healthy adult body weight. They do not assess what happens when you consume 4 of them together on a single handful of berries, 3 times a week, for 30 years. Animal studies indicate that combined exposures can be more harmful than individual chemicals alone. No regulatory framework in the United States evaluates cocktail effects on food, marketed as a superfood, delivered with a cocktail of pesticides including a forever chemical. The antioxidants are real. The chemicals coating them are also real. If this investigation is already changing how you look at the produce aisle, you're about halfway through. The next entries are the fruits most Americans eat every single day, the ones they pack in their children's lunches, and the ones where the contamination shifts from standard pesticides to something the body cannot break down. Number 6. Apples. A perennial Dirty Dozen member. Apples have appeared on the list every single year since EWG began publishing it in 2004. 22 consecutive years. The average American eats about 16 pounds of fresh apples per year. Multiple pesticide residues per sample, including fungicides and insecticides applied throughout the growing season and again after harvest. There's one chemical on American apples that tells the entire regulatory story in a single compound. Diphenylamine, known as DPA. It's applied to apples after harvest to prevent a cosmetic condition called apple scald, a browning of the skin that occurs during cold storage. DPA doesn't affect the taste, the nutrition, or the safety of the apple in any way that consumers would notice. It prevents the apple from looking old. In 2012, the European Union banned DPA due to concerns about the potential formation of cancer-causing nitrosamines. That was 14 years ago. DPA is still used on American apples today. That shiny, glossy look on a grocery store apple isn't natural fruit wax. It's a combination of commercial wax coatings and residues from post-harvest chemical treatments, including a compound that Europe decided wasn't worth the risk over a decade ago. The United States made a different decision. DPA has been banned in Europe since 2012. It's still on the apple you packed in your child's lunchbox this morning. Number 5. Peaches. The 2026 Dirty Dozen ranks peaches at number 6 overall, and this is the entry where the investigation shifts from pesticides to forever chemicals in the most personal way possible. The PFAS pesticide fludioxonil was found on nearly 90% of peaches tested by the USDA. 90%. Not a trace amount on a few samples. 9 out of every 10 peaches in the American food supply carried a forever chemical on their skin. Fludioxonil is not sprayed on peach trees in the orchard. It is applied after harvest, in the packing facility, directly onto the skin of each peach as an anti-mold coating for shipping and shelf life. The chemical goes on after the fruit is picked, specifically onto the surface that you eat. In November 2024, the European Food Safety Authority published its assessment. Fludioxonil meets the criteria for an endocrine-disrupting chemical. It affects estrogen pathways. It affects androgen pathways. It affects steroidogenesis, the process by which the body produces hormones. The hormone system regulates everything from metabolism to reproduction to brain development. Peach skin is thin, fuzzy, and porous. It absorbs chemicals readily. The fuzz itself traps residue particles. And unlike an orange or a banana, you eat the skin. Every bite of a conventional peach includes the surface where a PFAS forever chemical was applied, a chemical that the European Union's Food Safety Authority has classified as a hormone disruptor. Nearly 90% of peaches tested carried a PFAS fungicide that European regulators classified as an endocrine disruptor, applied after harvest, directly on the fuzzy skin you bite into. Number 4. Nectarines. The 2026 Dirty Dozen ranks nectarines at number 5 overall. Nectarines and peaches are so closely related that they're essentially the same species. The difference is one gene that controls whether the skin produces fuzz. Everything else, the flesh, the pit structure, the growing conditions, the pest pressures, and the pesticide treatments, is nearly identical. That means the PFAS fludioxonil contamination profile is the same. Roughly 90% detection rates, applied post-harvest, directly onto the skin, but nectarine skin is smooth, not fuzzy. No fuzz means no textured surface to trap and hold residue where rinsing might partially dislodge it. The smooth surface means a more uniform, more tightly bonded chemical layer between the fruit and your mouth. Stone fruits as a category, peaches, nectarines, plums, are the most PFAS-contaminated produce in America. Same family as peaches, same PFAS coating. Smooth skin means less barrier between the fungicide and your body. And the next two fruits are the ones consumed in the highest volume by children. Number 3. Grapes. The 2026 Dirty Dozen ranks grapes at number 4 overall. Multiple pesticides per sample, consumed raw, as juice, dried into raisins, fermented into wine. Grapes touch more food products than almost any other fruit, and the exposure compounds across every form. Consider raisins specifically. The drying process removes water. It concentrates sugars. It also concentrates every pesticide residue that was on the grape's surface. A raisin is a grape with less water and more of everything else, including the chemicals. Parents give children raisins as the healthy snack, the natural alternative to candy. Per body weight, a child consuming a small box of raisins absorbs more concentrated pesticide residue than an adult eating the same number of fresh grapes. Imported grapes from Chile, Peru, and Mexico carry pesticide profiles that may include chemicals banned or restricted for domestic U.S. use. The fruit arrives on the same shelf, in the same plastic clamshell, with the same label. If you feed your kids raisins as the healthy snack, understand that the drying process concentrates everything in the grape, including the pesticide residues. Fresh grapes, juice, wine, raisins, every form carries the residues. And children, who eat more grapes per body weight than adults, absorb more per serving. We're getting close to the most contaminated fruit in America. Number 2 has appeared at the top or near the top of the Dirty Dozen for over 2 decades. Its contamination profile is so extreme that it deserves every word of what comes next. Number 2. Strawberries. The average American eats about 8 pounds of fresh strawberries per year. The 2026 Dirty Dozen ranks strawberries at number 3 overall, and in most prior years they have held the number 1 or number 2 position. The testing data is stark. 99% of strawberry samples tested by the USDA contained at least one pesticide residue. Approximately 30% contained 10 or more different pesticides on a single sample. A May 2026 Consumer Watchdog report found 12 different pesticide residues on conventional strawberries, including compounds linked to PFAS. Conventional strawberry farming uses a heavy combination of 3 chemical categories: fungicides such as Captan, pyrimethamine, boscalid, and fludioxonil applied throughout the growing season to fight mold and mildew. Insecticides including pyrethroids, neonicotinoids, and organophosphates to target aphids, thrips, and spider mites. And soil fumigants, gaseous chemicals injected directly into the soil before planting to sterilize it against pathogens, nematodes, and weeds. The fumigants include chloropicrin, a chemical originally developed as a tear gas agent in World War I. Strawberries have no peel, no rind, no husk. The entire fruit surface is edible and exposed. The seeds sit on the outside of the skin, not the inside, creating tiny dimples across the surface that trap residue. Smell a conventional strawberry, then smell an organic one. The conventional one often has a faintly chemical note underneath the sweetness. That's not your imagination, that's the residue of 12 different compounds applied across a growing season and a post-harvest treatment process. 12 different pesticides on a single sample. No peel, no barrier, no protection, and you eat 8 pounds of them per year. And that brings us to number 1. Not a single fruit. The system that coats all of them. Number 1. The PFAS fruit supply. 3 of the 10 most frequently detected pesticides on American produce meet the internationally recognized definition of PFAS, per, and polyfluoroalkyl substances. Fludioxonil, fluparam, and bifenthrin. Together, they were detected on 63% of all Dirty Dozen samples. PFAS chemicals are built around a carbon-fluorine bond, one of the strongest bonds in organic chemistry. That bond is what makes them forever chemicals. They do not break down in the environment. They do not break down in your body. They accumulate. Fludioxonil has killed human cells and damaged DNA in laboratory tests. Those are lab studies, not human trials, but they help explain why the European Food Safety Authority took the step of classifying it as an endocrine disruptor in November 2024. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency has taken a different approach. In less than 2 years, the EPA authorized 5 new PFAS pesticides, including cyclobutyric and isocyclosarin. That's 5 times the pace of the prior administration, which approved 1 PFAS pesticide in 4 years. The EPA posted the approvals without informing the press or the public, despite the agency's own internal data linking these chemicals to animal tumors and persistent water contamination. A 2024 study by EWG scientists, collaborating with the Center for Biological Diversity and Public Employees for Environmental Responsibility, found that 14% of all active pesticide ingredients currently registered in the United States would classify as PFAS under the internationally recognized definition, and newly registered active ingredients are increasingly likely to be PFAS. The trend line is moving in one direction. More forever chemicals on more of your food, approved faster, with less transparency. The fungicide coating your child's peach is classified as a forever chemical, and washing it off is not an option. Carbon-fluorine bonds were engineered to resist degradation. That resistance is why they work as fungicides. It's also why they persist in soil, in water, and in human tissue for years. The EU is moving to restrict PFAS across its food supply. The US government is approving more PFAS pesticides faster than at any point in history. Your grocery store produce aisle is the front line of that decision, and nobody asked you whether you wanted forever chemicals on your strawberries. Now that you know which fruits carry the heaviest contamination, here are the 5 that are actually safe to buy conventional. These fruits share one structural trait that explains everything. They all have thick, inedible skin that you remove before eating. Clean pick number 5. Kiwi. The fuzzy brown skin of a kiwi is thick, inedible, and peeled or scooped away before eating. Pesticide residues on the skin surface never contact the flesh you consume. The Clean 15 data confirms extremely low detection rates for any pesticide on kiwi samples. The limitation is seasonal availability and higher price compared to apples or bananas, but the protection is structural. The skin does the work. Clean pick number 4. Papaya. Thick skin, removed before eating. Very low pesticide residue rates across USDA testing. Roughly 80% of the US papaya supply comes from Hawaii, meaning a shorter, more transparent supply chain than most tropical fruit. The limitation is that some Hawaiian papaya is genetically modified, which may matter to some shoppers. But on pesticide contamination specifically, papaya is one of the safest fruits you can buy. Clean pick number 3. Mangoes. Thick peel removed before consumption. Low detection rates for pesticide residues. Tropical growing conditions require fewer fungicides than the temperate climates where berries, stone fruits, and apples are grown, which partly explains why tropical fruits dominate the Clean 15. Most mangoes sold in the U.S. are imported from Mexico, India, and Peru. The limitation is the long supply chain, but the thick peel makes conventional mangoes functionally equivalent to organic from a residue exposure standpoint. Clean pick number 2. Pineapple. The thick, inedible rind of a pineapple provides a complete physical barrier between any surface residue and the flesh you eat. Among the lowest pesticide residue rates of any fruit tested. The rind is so robust that buying organic pineapple provides no measurable pesticide reduction over conventional. The protection is absolute. The limitation is environmental. Pineapples are entirely imported, and the monoculture farming practices used in Costa Rica and the Philippines raise legitimate sustainability concerns. But on the specific question of pesticide exposure to the consumer, pineapple is one of the safest choices available. Clean pick number 1. Avocado. The 2026 Clean 15 ranks avocado as the cleanest produce item in America. Fewer than 2% of avocado samples showed any detectable pesticide residue at all. The thick, rough skin is always removed before eating. No pesticide applied to the surface of an avocado reaches the flesh you consume at detectable levels. The safest conventional fruit you can buy. The pattern across all 5 clean picks is structural, not chemical. No special farming practices, no heroic organic certification, just thick skin. The peel is the protection. Every safe fruit on this list has a natural barrier that the 10 most contaminated fruits do not. Strawberries, peaches, grapes, blueberries, and blackberries have thin, edible skin that absorbs and holds every chemical applied to it. Avocados, pineapples, and mangoes have thick, inedible skin that stops the chemicals at the door. Before you close this, here's the one rule worth keeping. If it has thin skin and you eat the surface, buy organic. If it has thick skin and you peel it, conventional is fine. That single distinction covers every fruit in the grocery store without memorizing a list, without an app, without checking a database on your phone while standing in the produce aisle. Thin skin, you eat the surface, buy organic. Thick skin, you peel it, buy whatever is on sale. One rule. Every fruit, every time. If someone in your life packs strawberries, grapes, or peaches for their kids every day because fruit is the healthy choice, sending them this video is probably the most useful thing you can do with it. The fruit itself is healthy. What's on the fruit is the problem. And the agency that's supposed to regulate what goes on the fruit is approving more of it, faster, with less disclosure than at any point in American history. If this changed how you look at the produce aisle, you'll want to see what we found when we investigated the 10 most popular salad dressings in America. That video is on screen now.